Hello and welcome to the Peak Endurance Podcast. I am Isabel Tate, and beside me is
Ron Tate.
What a surprise!
Yes.
Who would have guessed it? Who would have thunk
I
it?
know.
Who indeed?
Yes, here we are, and welcome to the podcast
From sunny Ferntree Gully
Sunny.
in sensational Melbourne. Beautiful one day, shit ice next.
Yes, we had the mixed bag this weekend. We had one day of beautiful running weather.
It was definitely singlet weather.
Yes, it was definitely singlet weather. And then the next day,
was still singlet weather.
Still singlet weather, but it was terrible.
Rainy, foggy, but it was actually really nice.
It was only singlet weather because we got hot with our coats on.
Yes.
So
because we were wearing our raincoats because it was raining, clearly. Yeah. Or raincoats, aka sauna suits.
Yeah, that's right. In the end, you get just as wet on inside the raincoat.
Yeah, that's right. Like I took it off, my singlet was wet. Yeah. But c'est la vie. So let's just talk about firstly.
Yeah.
The run on Saturday. We ran pardon what? From home to the Warby Trail to do, and the day before, because I was working in Lilydale, you'd driven out and we went out and we parked the car.
In Yarra Glen. Yeah. Not Yarra Glen, Yarra Junction.
And then drove home in the other car. Yes. So we did that. And then that committed us to doing it, which we're regretting severely. And because seriously, we started running and at 3Ks, I stopped and said to Ron, I'm stuffed. Yeah. I've had enough. I'm not feeling it. I feel shit. Can we go home? I don't want to do this. And he's like, there's only 39Ks to go. Right. They'll suck it up.
That's right. And it was either that or we're going to have to drive back out and pick my car up.
And that would be the drive of shame, wouldn't it?
That would be, yeah. You'd feel terrible every step of the way.
You'd be going, we could have run this. Yeah. And it was a beautiful day, but it was a slog. If I stopped at 3K standing there going, oh, I feel terrible, you can just imagine how joyful the next 39Ks were.
That's right.
Especially on the Warby Trail, which is, I cannot stand the Warby Trail, but I did it for mental toughness because I'm doing this rail trail race. And it was a very good run for mental training because neither of us were feeling it for different reasons. Yeah. We'll go over my reasons first. So I wasn't feeling it. And I kept talking to Ron, saying...
She was suffering in silence,
absolute silence, like the soldier that I am. And saying how everything hurt and felt uncomfortable, like even like my back of my shoulder, like everything hurt. Like, and I'm not talking about the skin from the pack, but just like my body felt like it was achy and horrible. And then you reminded me...
Yes, that it is...
that I was due for my period soon.
That's right.
Right? You're allowed to say it on the podcast. Yeah. You don't have to get embarrassed. That
Bloody Mary was coming to visit next week.
Oh, my God. Crimson Tide. The visitors. I remember when I was younger, girls used to go, I've got the visitors. And I was like, what the hell are visitors? What? You know? No, I don't know. What?
You're going to make me spell it out?
Anyway, and in those few days before I get my period, I feel like shit.
Yeah.
And running is really hard and horrible. And it's really hard to feel the love for running and just no energy. And my body hurts.
Yeah.
And that's just the hormones going, not haywire because they're meant to do that because it prepares the body and blah, blah, and all that sort of stuff. It's actually normal and perfectly fine. It just is shit to experience it. So I felt like shit. But Ron felt like shit too.
Yeah, because apparently my period's coming up as well.
Yeah, because you get in sync when you're with someone.
Yeah, that's right.
Which my daughter and I used to. Oh my God, it was the worst. You have no idea. Because we'd be, oh my God, you just don't want to know. It was horrendous. Anyway, moving on.
No,
But what I'm going to say is also I feel funny using a period as an excuse because I feel like, I'm just making excuses. I should just, tough it out and be tougher than that. But ultimately, it's not just an excuse. It's an actual physiological thing. It's just mentally hard for me to grapple with because I feel like it's, using my femaleness as an excuse. But in reality, it's not. I'm not making it up. I'm actually feeling it, and it's horrible.
Oh, but the fact is you did tough it out. You did, we didn't stop. We didn't turn around and go home.
I did stop a few times.
No, but I mean stop permanently.
Yes, no, that's right.
we still did exactly what we were intending to do. So
that's right. But anyway, so then Ron was just feeling crappy.
Yeah.
And he was saying, "Oh, my hip flexors are hurting, aren't you?"
Yeah. And I just felt off, like
not quite. No.
Yeah, not just a
bit NQR.
Yeah, that's right. I was a bit NQR, and it was just particularly hard, and my body just wasn't feeling like it was on its game.
Yeah.
And as as runners, you eventually get quite in tune with your body, and when something's not right. And
Ron was definitely not right.
No, I couldn't more not right than normal. I couldn't put my finger on it. It just my first thought was, am I coming down with something?
And that's what we discussed later, because I said, well, it's funny that we were both feeling crappy. Maybe we're coming down with something.
Yeah.
But then when we got home that night, you showed me sort of look, Isabel, look at my groin.
I pulled my pants down and said, look at this.
And I'm like, oh my God.
And then she looked at what I was pointing at. And it was a small...
it was a swollen lump.
Yeah.
And I said, well, maybe that's the top of where rectus femoris goes in. Maybe you strained something. I said, because, I've had glandular fever before and chronic fatigue, where all my glands were swollen throughout my body. And the glands in my groin were swollen, but they were sort of lower. Yours was quite high, but obviously your build is different than mine, so it's going to be different, which I probably didn't take fully into account. I said, I don't know if it's a gland, but I figured it might not be, because you were saying that your hip flexors had been hurting, so I thought it was related to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the next day you still felt a bit shit when we were going up live. And I still, I've been feeling crap all week.
We both talked about how we'd woken up with a bit of a headache.
Yeah.
And the swelling or the lump had gone down, but
your skin was sensitive.
The skin was around that area was still quite sensitive.
And down into your shin, the skin.
No, that happened afterwards.
Monday.
Yeah.
Oh, Sunday.
Yeah, later Sunday. Yeah.
So we'll better speed this up.
Yeah. So anyway, it's on after the run, things started to get even worse. Like I started to get pain down low on the side of my shin, on the outside of my shin. And then that night I woke up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, and the sheets were all damp, and so I kind of figured something wasn't right. But then when I woke up in the morning, I was fine. I wasn't.
But you had, I noticed, because you were saying your skin was sensitive. On Sunday, I noticed a red line, and I said, there is a red line on your leg.
Yeah.
And then by Monday, you seemed to be okay. Then you went for a run Monday afternoon, and you came home and you said, my lump's gotten bigger and sore again.
Yeah.
And I looked, and I could see that the red line was no longer just on his shin. It was going around his knee and up his thigh towards where that lump was. Yeah. We thought it was coming from there. I don't know. But anyway, today he went to the doctor.
Went to the doctor's finally, yeah.
I made him go, basically.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have gone otherwise. No. But I a red line like that indicates infection, and there's nothing you can do for an infection except antibiotics. It's either that or you end up septic.
Yeah.
So you went to the doctor.
And I have an infection in my leg, created by something on my ankle, which I believe may have been a leech that I picked up.
The week after the prom, we went for a run.
Yeah, we went for a run at Warrandyte.
No.
In the wet, with the wet grass.
No, that was 2 weeks after the prom. The one before that, I thought it was, which I can't even remember where that was.
No, I can't remember where that was.
Anyway, we went for a run.
Anyway. And so I had a bit of an itchy bite on my ankle, and it appears that has gotten infected.
And the bite itself looks healed now.
Yeah, so and the bite,
it's not red.
It's not red. It's not itchy anymore.
No.
But yeah, for some reason it's worked its way up my leg.
Yes, and so no running for Ron for the rest of the week.
No.
No. I said that, but then the doctor said it too, because basically, I've had this happen to me before, where I've gotten so infected I've had to go into hospital. And I was on IV drip of antibiotics. I think I was there for a couple of nights, and then I went home, and for 7 days had to the nurse come out and give me antibiotic shots. So you don't want that, because it ain't fun. Nobody wants to go to hospital.
It's not painful. And
you don't feel particularly sick.
No, I feel all right now. It's just a concerning red line, and
Yeah.
Yeah, and just I don't want it to get any worse. So
yeah, so he's on antibiotics 4 times a day.
And yeah, off running
Get that sorted.
Friday or Saturday. So
yeah. Next, we wanted to talk about my slightly controversial reel that I put out about our run.
Yes.
I didn't think it was going to be controversial.
No, I didn't. No.
Do you know what was so controversial? We ate a bacon and egg McMuffin.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, right? Who knew that would be so controversial? Basically, as you are probably aware, if you've listened to this long enough, I have a lot of stomach issues with foods.
Yeah.
And in general, I cannot eat processed foods. And don't get me wrong, I am not a Macca's fan. Their burgers are crap. If we get burgers, it's Mum's Burgers in Baronia. Yeah. They are really fresh, beautiful, properly cooked burgers. But, you know, the bacon and egg McMuffin, it's an English breakfast muffin. How bad can that be? Right?
It's bland.
It's bland. It's an egg, fried egg. The bacon's probably pretty crap bacon. That's okay. The cheese is, you know, that American style yellow cheese. Pretty crap too. But at the end of the day, probably the most innocuous of all the Macca's foods. So not really that bad. But you would think from that people, it seems that people think I eat McDonald's all the time. I don't eat McDonald's all the time. We got it once in the run because in my Jesse's run, Steve bought me one because we'd run out of options of what I could eat. And he tried the pancakes, that didn't go down. But the bacon and egg McMuffin, because it was bland and tasteless, like all McDonald's food, it actually went down really well. And it fit in my pocket, didn't fall apart. I didn't have to worry about it going stale because, you know, you can keep those things for months. So we thought, we'll do that. We ran past a Macca's on the way. That was rather than bringing something, you know, and it went down a treat, didn't we? Yeah. You know, we had our breakfast before we left, and then other than that, all we ate was a bacon and egg McMuffin each.
And so, just for the record, what is the benefit? Because we did have one person comment that you'd be better off eating nothing on the run.
Oh, someone said that, did they?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, that guy.
Oh, did he? I didn't know.
You'd be better off eating absolutely nothing.
I don't think so.
So, yeah, just to elaborate on that, that is not the case. You are not better off eating nothing.
No, absolutely not.
McDonald's egg and bacon McMuffin equals calories.
Yep. And protein energy. And fat and salt. And the salt in it is good for me because I don't traditionally drink much water, but by golly, they make me drink water.
All the things that you need on a run.
Yeah, basically. It is basically. So I've got my Cliff Bars here, and we love it. Well, I don't really because of the sugar. And this is the problem. I used to love Cliff Bars, but I can't eat them anymore because of the sugar. I wish I could. It's easy. It's lots of calories.
And I always carry Cliff Bar in the pack.
As you can see, I buy the bloody commercial boxes of it. So it's not that I have anything against Cliff Bar. I'm just using that as a baseline to compare the bacon and egg McMuffin
against. What people would normally eat on a run, i.e. a Cliff Bar versus egg and bacon McMuffin.
A bacon and egg McMuffin is 1,404 kilojoules. A Cliff Bar is 1,075. So you're getting more kilojoules, more bang for your bite. Protein in the bacon and egg McMuffin, 16 grams. In the Cliff Bar, 10 grams. So more protein in the bacon and egg McMuffin, which you don't necessarily need more protein, but I personally feel that I do because I feel, it slows down the carb release, but it's also, for these long things, helps with muscle breakdown and that. Fat total is 5.9 grams in the bacon and egg McMuffin. In the Cliff Bar, it's 7 grams. That doesn't make sense. No, sorry, my bad. 16 grams in the bacon and egg McMuffin, 7 grams in the Cliff Bar. What's 5.9 is the saturated fat. So the bacon and egg McMuffin is higher in saturated fat. In the Cliff Bar, it's only 2. But that's 2 grams in the Cliff Bar, 6 grams basically in the bacon and egg McMuffin. So it's 4 grams more. I mean, I'm not really that fast when I'm running 42 Ks. Carbohydrate. It doesn't, let me have a look. I've got to scroll down. Carbohydrate in the bacon and egg McMuffin is 27 grams, of which 2.7 grams is sugars, which is good for me. It's low in sugars. Carbohydrates are low in sugars. Admittedly, the Cliff Bar has a lot more carbohydrates, 41 grams, but that's 21 grams of sugars. No wonder I can't eat it, but I can eat the bacon and egg McMuffin. All right, here's where there's a huge difference. The sodium. So what did we work out the grams was to milligrams? I've forgotten now.
It was 1,000.
Okay, so 1.5 grams of sodium.
Yeah.
In the bacon and egg McMuffin, and in the Cliff Bar it's 263 micrograms, milligrams, which is
0.2.
Yeah, 0.2. So a lot more salt in the bacon and egg McMuffin. But as I said, when you're sweating, you need salt.
Yeah.
Like people take salt tablets, for God's sake.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't take salt tablets. I don't even overly like electrolyte drinks. What happened when I had my first sip of electrolyte drink? Oh my God, I had to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Went straight through me. And that was just a tiny sip. It's driving me bananas, people, the fact that I can't eat stuff. But, you know, when you look at the main ingredient of the Cliff Bar, brown rice syrup, that's code for sugar.
Yeah.
Okay, it's followed by soy protein isolate, which isn't actually overly healthy for you, to be honest. So, I mean, I don't actually see what is so wrong with the bacon and egg McMuffin. And you are definitely not better off eating nothing. Absolutely not.
And remember, we're not saying go and buy an egg McMuffin and sit on the couch and eat it. We're talking about what to eat during a run where you're going to actually be using a lot of the stuff.
We needed that energy. Yeah. We were using that energy.
That's right.
Like you wouldn't eat a Cliff Bar sitting on the couch at home as just a delicious little snack. Yeah. No, of course not. Well, it's the same with us for the bacon and egg McMuffin. I know it's processed food, but it's more real for my body than a Cliff Bar. My body can't deal with highly processed food. So this is really easily to transport. And I've had some people say, oh, yes, but an egg at home is better. Yeah, well, you try transporting an egg from home. All right. You know, the bacon and egg McMuffin, they've made it so it all fits in that muffin. And another really good thing about McDonald's is it doesn't matter where you go, it all tastes the same.
That's it.
Same texture. You know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
All right. So.
And we bought them wrapped up in a little bit of paper. We stuck them in our pockets.
Next time I would take a Ziploc.
Every now and then we took one out, took it out, took a bite and put it back in our pocket, you know. Yeah. So it was just something good to nibble on.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah. It was great. And it really hit the spot for me. I didn't feel hungry or lacking in energy in that way. That's definitely not the energy I was lacking. And I was lacking in just in everything. And it was absolutely nothing to do with food for you. So, you know, I think, you know, I know I'm a sports nutritionist and I'm a coach and I should be going, oh, clean food, healthy food. Have you looked at the aid stations on ultra races? Seriously, a bacon and egg McMuffin is like up here compared to all the other food. Yeah. Chips, M&Ms, lollies, please.
Yeah.
That's not
And
food.
A piece of watermelon?
Yeah. Oh, but it's fruit. It's healthy. Yeah. You need more than watermelon to run 100 miles, I'm telling you now. And you need more than chips and you need more than lollies. You need proper food. The Americans have got it right. They have, you know, burritos and proper food. Yeah. Here in Australia, it's an absolute disgrace, to be perfectly honest, at ultras, especially considering the prices we pay to enter races. I think if there's something that race directors could do is improve that. Some races are starting to, like, you know, having toasted cheese sandwiches and that sort of stuff. But even then, I think they can still do a bit better.
Soup.
But not cup of soup. I'm sorry.
Not the cup of soup.
And these cup of noodles, they're crap of the highest order. You want to know how much salt's in that? Oh, my Godfather. Yeah. Like, seriously, and we're quibbling about a bacon and egg McMuffin. Yeah. Like, no. Yep. Sorry, it just got my goat a bit. A lot of people did support it and say, no, great idea and good to see you showing that, you know, the use of real food, like what we have around us, rather than always having to pay $1 million for this specialty food because, it's just for running. Or
conversely, you know, having a gel every 30 minutes.
Ugh.
Yeah,
because gels are super healthy.
Yeah,
that's
the same people that would bag a McDonald's egg McMuffin
would
eat maybe 10 gels on a run.
Yeah. So I mean, choose your poison, quite frankly. I'd rather my poison to taste good. Yeah. So anyway, that's that. All right. So what we are actually, and we're finished. No.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes. What we're actually talking about is reframing failure. Now, I've written my notes, so I will be reading a bit, hence why I'm wearing my glasses as well. So the ability to reframe failure is your ability to bounce back from a difficult or not planned for situation that you may deem as a failure. I don't like saying failure, but, some people see these things as a failure. Reframing, the word reframing means to look at something in a different way. So we're looking at failure, and I'm using air quotes here, in a different way. Now, I'm not talking about seeing failure as, that doesn't make sense what I've written, I'm not talking, I know what I mean now. I'm not talking about reframing failure and going, oh, suddenly it's a big success. I'm not saying that. It's never going to be seen as a big success. And I'm not talking about, those participation medals where, oh, we're all winners. Doesn't matter what happens, we're all winners. It's a failure. It's okay. As I used to say to the kids at school when they'd go, oh, we didn't win. And I'm like, but somebody has to lose. Literally, there can be no winners unless there is a loser. It is what it is. And sometimes things will not go as we had planned. Like, the world is not perfect. If everything went as planned, what would be the point in doing anything? Because it's all going to work out anyway. Where's the bloody challenge in that? It's boring. Like, that's really boring. Part of the fun is trying to see if you can succeed. And sometimes you don't. Just sometimes you don't. That's just the way it goes. Sometimes, your period's coming in a few days and you feel like crap. Yeah. Sometimes you get an infection from a leech and you feel like, these things happen and you can't control everything. What I'm talking about then is looking for the positives in a situation that you initially feel is a failure, because there is always some positives. So examples of a failure would be not hitting your time or pace target in a race or training run. And to be honest, I was pretty upset about the run on Saturday, wasn't I? Like, when we got home, I was like, oh, shit, I did bad, because my runs all week had felt pretty good. Yeah. That was the first run that had felt crap, and I was quite upset about it. And you had to give me, a bit of a pep talk, didn't you? But I had written these notes earlier in the week, so I was also thinking about them and trying to reframe it as well. So your failure could be a training run, it could be getting injured, it could be not getting into the race you had your heart set on, like me with Tour de Géant, which once again I've reframed. To be honest, the list is potentially endless, and quite frankly, I've experienced nearly all of them as failures. I've DNF'd, I've done badly in races I thought I was going to, be up at the pointy end. I've gotten injured. I've hurt myself. I've stuffed up a training run like I did not stuffed it up, but gone badly in a training run. I've, and I'm sure you're all the same. So the thing is to remember is these feelings don't last forever, and you can come back from this and become a better runner and perhaps even a better person in the process. All right. So the first thing to do when you experience this kind of failure is be kind of positive to yourself. So we often say not nice things to ourselves, like, oh, God, you're an idiot, you're hopeless, why do you even run? I mean, maybe they're just things I say to myself. But, like I was going a bit, oh, I was so slow, and and it's hard not to self-identify with those, like, yes, that was a slow run, but that does not mean I am a slow runner per se, okay? Or I am a shit runner. It was a shit run, but that doesn't mean I'm a shit runner. Yeah. Okay. Basically, would you say those things to your running friends? And if you wouldn't, then why are you saying them to yourself? Because when all your friends are gone, who are you left with? You should be your own best friend. And it's okay to be not happy with what's happened, but honestly, if you can't think of anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Especially to yourself.
Especially to yourself.
People start to think you're crazy.
Yes. Maybe look at it as, what would I say if it was my friend? Like when I was saying, you didn't go, oh God, Isabel, you're shit, you're hope. Just give it up.
I agree. You really should just stop running.
All right. So maybe, so things like, good on you for giving it a go. Or if you got injured, maybe this injury is a sign that I need to refocus and plan for new goals. Or maybe this injury is a sign I need to do strength work. Or maybe going badly in this race shows that my taper wasn't quite right, or whatever it is. Yeah. You've got to look at it and be kind and positive to yourself. All right. So that was my little spiel, because I've got a few little headings, and I'll get Ron to, we better keep an eye on the time. Yeah. And I can smell the beetroot burning. No mashed potato today. While you're giving your side of the story, I'm just going to go and turn off the beetroot. It's roasting away. My healthy beetroot. It's not a beetroot and egg McMuffin, but.
So yeah, some of the ways, you can turn, if you haven't had a great run, or you feel you could have done better, actually start to think about what went wrong.
No, we're going to get to that. Just focus on. Are you going to that, are you?
No. Think about what went wrong, and think about how you, in your own mind, you can spin that to, another time when you didn't feel like you performed well, and, what was the outcome of that run, or what was,
And what did it have a huge effect?
No, and that's what I mean. What was the outcome in that?
Yeah. That's a good point. I hadn't actually.
2 days later,
doesn't matter.
Quite often you find, you had a great run.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Not, unless it's the very first time you've ever had a bad run, which is highly unlikely, you'll always have something where you can look back and go, actually, that time, that wasn't the end of the world, so this is probably not the end of the world.
Actually, I just remembered then, this woman, I was telling you about this the other month, and I've forgotten her name. She was quite a good Olympic athlete at one point, and she said her coach had the rule of thirds. 1/3 of the time you'll feel great with your runs, 1/3 of the time you'll feel shit runs, and 1/3 of the time you'll feel like it's okay runs. Mm-hmm. And if you can follow the rule of thirds, then your training's right on track and you're doing well.
Right.
So 1/3 of the time, yes, your runs might feel like shit.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it doesn't have a big influence, like you said, overall. In a week's time, it really doesn't actually matter.
No, that's right.
And whatever.
And, you may remember that you had a shit run, but you probably won't remember what day it was, and you won't remember, where you were when you felt shit, or, that all that just fades into obscurity.
Insignificance. Yeah. And so just don't sit there ruminating and ruminating on it. The more you get yourself dying, like just whatever, just move on. But of course you can also, work out why you failed, per se. These things don't usually happen by accident. So use this opportunity to learn and to improve. Okay, so for me, I've got to be a bit more cognizant and actually look at my app and know when my cycle's coming, and eat more carbohydrates, because that really helps, like in the lead up before you're running, and make sure I'm really well hydrated, because that's, your thirst is blunted too, which that was
another thing. We did a 42K run, and you basically just had a 500 ml drink of water.
I don't think I even finished that.
No, you did, although
it
was empty.
Did.
So yeah.
Okay,
and your electrolyte was pretty much untouched.
Because it gave
so
you did the toilet.
You did a 42K run on 500 ml of water. So
I had 2 coffees in the morning.
Yeah.
I would hate coaching, man. I would be the worst. So yes, but yes, in that part of your cycle, your thirst is blunted. There's my excuse. And I was sweaty when we got back. Yeah. Like when we hopped in the car, I was like in a singlet, like ugh. So learn from that. I need to drink more, and I probably need to pre-hydrate. Use some of that prep drink. Did you follow your program religiously, or maybe just a little too religiously, doing extra? Did you make changes during the race, or did you deviate from your plan? Did you try foods you hadn't tested, like Macca's? But was testing basically. Did you go too hard at the start of your run or your race? Use this time as a chance to improve what you're doing, or learn what not to do. Did you want to go on to that next one? Maybe I probably should have let you read this. Yeah.
So sometimes we need to fail to see more clearly on how we can achieve our goals.
That's me.
Like Isabel ate chips at an aid station once that messed with her stomach so much she had to DNF from the race.
Yeah.
So yes, a failure.
That was a failure
in terms of the race, but a big lesson learned.
Yeah.
So
have you had a lesson like that in a race? Oh, you have, going out too hard?
Yeah. That's Well, you call it a lesson. I call it a smashing your head up against a brick wall and not learning the lesson.
And just keep on doing
it. Because
such a guy.
I can't say I really ever learnt from that lesson.
Really? How could you not?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know. So basically, if you do fail, or if you have had a failure,
learn from it.
Learn from it. Think about what you could have done better. What what went wrong. What do you think caused it? Maybe speak to some people about.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And get a coach or get a nutritionist, or and see that as stepping stones to success. Like, okay, so I failed this time, so my next time I'm going to try this, and use that as ways of being successful next time.
Maybe keep a diary or notes, because how many times have you made a mistake and then gone on another run, made the same mistake and gone, oh, that's right, I did that last time too.
Yeah.
So make a note, read back on it.
Training diaries are really important.
Yeah.
I've still got my training diaries from when I was first cycling and all that, and it's really quite interesting to look back on.
Yeah.
And celebrate the small wins that did occur. There's always going to be small wins. Like, during that run, we finished.
Yeah.
that was a big win.
Yeah.
And in ultra running and racing and training, these runs go for such a long time that you're bound to find a couple of wins here or there.
Yeah, but also, when you're thinking back on the run, you don't have to necessarily think about wins per se, but high points of the run.
Yes,
what was interesting,
like how beautiful and blue was the sky, and it was such a beautiful day.
The most interesting stag.
Oh my God, yes.
Who came over to say hello.
Oh, it was so cute. Such big horns. Is that what they're called?
Yes.
Horns? Or antlers. Antlers.
Yeah.
Oh, and it stuck its nose through and really snuffled at me. It was so cute.
Definitely. And that was at about the 39K mark. So that was well.
Oh God, I was like, I better stop and film the stag. Just another reason to stop.
Yeah.
But oh God, starting again nearly killed me.
Yeah.
That hurts so bad. But there were wins, like it was a beautiful day. The not Hungry Jacks, the Macca's. We're just going to start going to all the different takeaways.
Yeah, that's right. Red Rooster next time.
Yeah, IFC, the dirty bird. I almost did again. The Macca's went down really well. I just bought new shoes. They were good.
They were bright and pretty.
Yes, because they were the cheap ones, so they were the ugly ones. And lots of things went really well. The car was still there with all its wheels.
That was very much a win.
A big win.
Yeah. It's always a stress when you park your car in a strange spot overnight.
But you don't know what it's like.
Yeah, you have no idea what it's like.
And we're just praying the whole bloody way.
Yeah, that's right.
Because pretty sure there's not a big taxi service like that way.
And the number one lesson is never forget your key.
Oh my God.
If you're gonna run 42 kilometers from home, you don't want to have to turn around and run back.
But don't put it in like the shorts pocket. Put it in your pack, in a zipped pocket somewhere secure.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a definite lesson. And so there were lots of good moments. One of the really good moments was being in the car driving home.
And I mean, we still ran it out. We didn't do a death march. We didn't
Occasionally I said I just need to walk, but that was very occasionally. We ran.
Yeah, and it was only for like 30 seconds at a time.
Yeah, but sometimes I just needed that.
But yeah, we ran it out.
Yeah. I mean, we walked the hills in the first bit, like in the first half, there were some hills up through Manev.
Yeah, there was just that.
Just that one big hill.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but there were lots of positives and like you say, it was a beautiful spot. So really it was fine. And also when you've had this failure, look at who you've become. If you feel your race was a failure, think about who you have become along the way. Like all training is money in the bank. You have become fitter. You have become stronger. You have become mentally stronger. All of that will have still been improved. So really reflect on how you've improved as a runner and an athlete and a human being, because there will have been improvements. I know every race I've done, I have become a better version of me as a runner. So there's no doubt that that you will have improved. And basically acknowledging failing doesn't mean that you are a failure. It's okay to fail. It's part of life. In mountain biking, we used to say no scars, no glory, which meant that if you didn't fall off and stack and get scars, then there was no way you were ever going to have success.
Yeah.
How could you be good at mountain biking if you never crashed? Oh, crashing's a failure. No, it's not. It's part of the learning process, right? And crashing in a race, and I'm not talking about stacking, can happen, but you learn from it.
Yeah.
And we've definitely learned from you that you need to be careful of leeches.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I mean, I've had a few.
And go to the doctor straight away.
I've had a few leech bites in the past, and nothing, other than a bit of itchiness has come from it. But for whatever reason.
Dirty and gross.
This one must have been sucking on something dirty before it sucked on me. So yeah.
Enough of that talk. No. Sorry, I'm just sorry, get my mind out of the gutter and back to talking. You've got to go out there and give those tough races and runs a go, knowing that you might fail, knowing that it might be not what you wanted or expected. Get some scars and come back and know that you've lived a full life, well lived, not, oh, I was too scared to do this because I was worried I was going to fail, so I just didn't do it. Like, who wants to go to their deathbed saying that? I'd rather go to my deathbed saying, I gave it a crack, I failed. Oh, well, at least I tried.
Yeah.
Than I never tried because I didn't want to fail. And I would rather have 100 failures than 100 times of not trying.
Yep.
Absolutely, I'd prefer that. And nobody remembers the failures. Nobody remembers the successes. Like if you go and do shit in a race and you're like, oh, what do people think of me? But people don't even remember that I've won races.
Yeah.
They're not going to remember that I've DNF'd them.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Literally nobody cares. I mean, your close family and friends care for a minute or two.
Yeah.
And then they're on to the next thing.
Just like you.
Yep. Like if it was your friend who didn't do well in a race, what, you're going to hate them? No, I don't think so. Or you're going to remind them of it every day for the next 3 months about what a terrible person. No. Failure is failure. And you just have to put it behind you and go, well, it happens to the best of us, and not get stuck in it and ruminate on it and get mired in the depression of it and the anxiety of it. And it's part of life. It's part of all life. I mean, everyone always brings it up. How do children learn to walk? By falling over. Yeah. Now, if we all gave up and got angry at ourselves, do you see little kids getting angry when they fail? No, they don't get angry.
Yeah.
They learn what to do. Oh, well, maybe holding onto the coffee table will help.
Yeah.
Right? They learn. Yep. And that's how we've got to see it. We've got to look at failure with curiosity and the desire to learn. Oh, that makes me curious. If I fail doing this, what could happen if I did that?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. And I've had plenty of failures in my life, and I've learned the most from them. You don't learn as much from the successes.
No. You're not learning anything from our marriage, are you?
What was that? That was random. Okay.
Okay on that.
You're funny. Anyway, I feel like we need to have a bit of a talk after this. I'm assuming you're meaning our marriage is a success.
Yeah, that's what I'm meaning.
I know, we've lasted like 5 weeks.
You got nothing to learn from.
It's just a very weird analogy. So next week we are talking about the 10 commandments of running, because I saw a post on Insta. Someone had posted a picture, I don't even know who it was, of the 10 commandments of running, and we are going to go over what that post said the 10 commandments of running are. I don't necessarily agree with them. I just saw it and thought that would be interesting to talk about.
Yeah.
And then we will, in the next podcast after that, come up with our own 10 commandments of ultra running, which you must follow.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Otherwise you'll be a failure.
That's right. You will be a failure. So anyway, that's next week's pod. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. We hope you enjoy next week's podcast, and keep listening. Share this pod, tell people about it. I'm sure they would all love to know. Oh, I was going to tell you, we're on the Hong Kong Apple thingy, iPod, Apple, God help me, Apple podcast. You don't know what I'm talking about. Okay. And I can't find the email. So this is really good. Going to show. Oh, there it is. Chartable Digest. So we're out of the American one. We've moved up 27 spots on the Great Britain Apple podcast on running.
Here we go.
We're down 17 spots in Canada. Come on, Canada.
Come on, lift your game, Canada.
Well, we're down 19 in Australia. Oh. Hello. We're up 1 in France. Woo! And Hong Kong peoples liked our Consistency is Key to Lifelong Running podcast. So there you go.
So keep liking.
Keep subscribing and rating and reviewing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Yeah, and share it. Like, even if you just let your friends know about it, the more, the merrier, as they say. All righty. So that was episode, I think, 205. We hope you have a great week, a great whatever. If you're over on the other side of the world, have an awesome summer coming up. We're here in the deepest, darkest winter, and it's horror bubble.
We're saying it. We're not enjoying winter, and winter hasn't even
started officially. But then, to be fair, we didn't even have summer. We had like 2 weeks of autumn, and it's just winter.
Yeah.
So anyway, such is life. Yes, have a great one. Enjoy your running. Who cares if you have a bad run? Well, I mean, care that you have a bad run, but learn from it, move on, and don't stew on it. Really, don't stew on it. It's okay. It's okay to have the odd bad run. It's not a failure. You're not a failure. You're human.
Yep. No. So focus. If you're having focus on a shit run. Focus on tomorrow. Because tomorrow
having a shit.
Because tomorrow will be a much better run.
So
get your mind out of the gutter. You're terrible.
Well, you know what you said, because then you paused. Sorry, I'm terrible.
Yes.
All righty. Yeah. No.
I don't know why I put up with you.
I don't know either. Tomorrow will be better, and even if tomorrow's not, if you have a 2 or 3 day run, it's okay. Sun will come out tomorrow.
It will.
Yes.
Good on you.
All righty. Hey?
Good on you, Annie.
Yeah. Yeah. This positivity. Yes. All righty. See you next week, everybody. Bye.